You've probably heard the phrase that says, I need something to hang my hat on when someone is learning something new. When we learn, it's important that we're able to help our brain connect to something that we already know. So when I teach children, I try to keep that in mind. The other day in chapel at our school, I was able to teach the middle school, elementary school, and preschool students the same lesson, but on their level. So this is what I taught, beginning in Colossians 3. Let me read just a little bit for you. It talks about this. It says, do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self. And then that's in verse 9. In verse 12, it says, put on then as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassion, kindness, humility, meekness, and patience. And then it goes a little bit further as well. That passage for little ones can be hard to understand. What I find that is typically in things like Sunday school or children's classes or missions classes, typically we teach children things only that are concrete to them. And while that can be important, we can also teach them abstract concepts as long as we take it and connect it to something that they understand. So with this particular lesson, I talked to the children about when they got up in the morning. I asked them as they're wearing their school uniforms, did you sleep in that outfit? And they say, no. And so I said, before bed last night, what did you have to do? Well, I took a bath and I put on my PJs and then I went to bed. And I said, and when you got up in the morning, what did you do? Well, I brushed my teeth and I ate breakfast and I put on my clothes. Of course, this is all in preschool language. But we talked about then how they take off their old self and put on their new self. To help them understand that, I talked about it like this. I said, when you decide to follow Jesus and to love him, because remember, these are 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. When you decide to follow Jesus and to love him, you get to do some things. Should you do things like take toys from your friends? No. Should you talk meanly to your friends? No. Should you take a toy away from somebody else? No. And they answer these questions. And then we talk about the things that they should do. Sharing toys, doing nice things, listening to their teachers and to their parents. And we talk about as Christians, I maybe don't use that term with them yet, but people who love Jesus, how as Christians we take off our old clothes and we put on our new clothes, just like when they got ready for school in the morning by taking off their PJs and putting on their school uniforms. Well, the way that I describe that to them is by taking off their bad choices and putting on their good choices. And I was a little bit frustrated with that lesson as I left. I thought, I don't know that they got it. It was one of those lessons where they were a little bit more wiggly than normal, where it was a little more difficult to explain because I didn't have a prop. I was just leaning on something that they did that morning. But that was on Monday. That following Saturday, I went to a birthday party for one of the children that was in the group. And another child from the group came up to me and said, Miss Elaine, guess what? And I said, what? And she said, I took off my bad choices and put on my good choices. And I was so happy to hear her say that for several reasons. One was that she was able to quote what I said. So I knew that she understood the concept from the Bible, understood the concept from the devotion, and she was able to put it in her own little terms and understand that for herself. Another thing that I was excited about was that she was able to remember that concept from Monday all the way until Saturday. And when she saw me again, she was eager to tell me about it. I was elated to tell her mother about that because her mom actually works at a church and her mom really takes this teaching seriously. But this is something that you can do at home as well. So take Colossians, use that passage to teach your little ones about it, but also for your older children. As children get older, you can take this concept a little bit more and talk about how when they get dressed in the morning, same concept, that they are also taking off their old self and putting on their new self. And what does that look like? It should be different from the former. It's a little bit tricky with elementary school kids in particular because they haven't made some of the things that we consider awful choices. As they get a little bit older in middle school, elementary, and even higher, middle school, high school, and even a little bit higher, they have more of a concept of getting rid of those things. So I might lean toward the idea that Jesus, by giving his life on the cross, took those choices away from us. He took away the bad things, and I say the fancy Bible word for that is sin. He took away the sin and all the things we've done and made us new. And so by doing that, we make the choice to follow him. We take it off, but he takes it away forever so that we can be new and clean and wear the right things. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take this information, share it with your little ones, and teach them because you were called to be the one to disciple your children.